Howdy YouTube, and welcome to another episode of the Gunman. So today I'll be taking you guys through the paintwork on this C3 Corvette. So it's a pretty mean car, obviously, I don't really need to tell you that, but it is actually quite a rare one. So you only came in yesterday and had a bit of a talk to me about the colour and how we wanted to go about it, and I just asked him a few questions about the car and he said it's a C3 Corvette. I can't remember exactly what year it was, but he said it's a Doug Nash edition, so supposedly there's only 500 of them made and this is the only one in Australia. So very rare, very awesome. It runs like an absolute dream. He's had a lot of engine work done to it. I think he said it was like a 350 Chev, but anyway, all of that aside, yeah, I obviously sanded the entire car down. There was a little bit of a repair on the bonnet that you might have seen there. There's actually a new bumper that we put on as well, but we're really going to be focusing mainly on the paintwork in this video. Obviously once I've got all the car prepped up, you can see I'll put it in here, and I've been actually using the pressure cleaner a lot of the time to clean my jobs down, sometimes before I even prep them if they're really bad, but yes, especially on the big jobs I do like to give them a wash down before I put them into the booth. As you can see here, we actually sprayed just the insides of those door jambs because there was a little bit that he wanted sealed up on both sides, so we did that for him. As you can see there, we've got the entire car masked up. I actually did have to put a little bit of black on the roof there as well. That was just something that I sort of took on myself. Like, I don't know if you noticed at the start, but I was trying to sort of point out with the camera that there was some crazing or sort of cracking. Not actually cracking, sorry, yeah, more crazing. So I think it's in the fiberglass. So those of you who may not know, this is actually a full fiberglass body. All the exterior panels are made out of fiberglass, so it's not metal. So because of that, you can end up getting, yeah, some sort of issues with the sort of crazing and yeah, like all I could do is just sand it down and paint over the top of it. There's no real guarantee that it's not going to come back, but you know, I could imagine to fix it, it's probably a pretty big job. I don't know, like there's probably some people in the comments that can tell me, but I would imagine you'd probably have to take all of the paint off and then take it back to fiberglass, and then I don't know, like get some kind of a resin. I don't even know how you would get it on, possibly spray a resin over the entire car that would hopefully hold it down. Maybe a polyester prime, but then I wouldn't imagine that would like totally fix it because you've still got the paint in between. But anyway, that's not what we're here for. We're just here to give it basically just a quick respray. So yeah, and the customer came in and talked about the color, so it's a very straightforward. It took me a little bit to actually get the color and find a formula, but the good old Spectro did come through with the goods again. I did have to take a couple of different readings and it finally came up with something that was good. So yeah, it's basically straight white tinter as the ground coat, and then blue pearl, like straight blue pearl, obviously mixed with some intercoat or mixed with some binder, clear binder, and that's it. So it looks really cool. Like it's just blue pearl, 2 coats of blue pearl, and we tripled the formula. That's right. So for every 2 liters, it asks for 400 grams of blue pearl, and I tripled that to, what is it, 1.2 liters. Yeah. So yeah, put lots of the blue pearl in and then put 2 coats on. So I found with your pearls, you're best off sticking to the 2 coats, and if you do need more pearl, just add more pearl into the mix. But I found 1 coat's not quite enough because you can miss spots. 3 coats is too much, because if you go 3 coats, you can get like extra dieback because you've got too much material on there. So after you clear it, you can get a fair bit of dieback. But either way, you may have noticed that the very first coat of white, I actually only went over the little cut throughs, like only over the spots that weren't already white, and then just put 1 coat over the rest of the car of the white. Again, that is to sort of help minimize the amount of material that's going on there. And you may have also noticed that all of the primer patches, I used a proper white primer as well, like not just a light grey, a white primer, so that really does help also. But either way, we're on to the clear coat now, and as you can see, well, actually I did forget to mention that I walked to the side when I did do the pearl as well. I had a little bit of practice doing that from when I did a WRX candy over flake job. That one came up really mint too. Actually, come to think of it, I've got to get around to finishing the editing work on that. That was a big project, and it just gives me a headache thinking of doing all the editing on it. This one here was a relatively easy one to throw together, so that's why it kind of leapfrogging the queue. But yeah, isn't it a cool color? I don't know how much you guys can see it on the screen there, but it's actually a really cool color, kind of relatively subtle, but when you get it out in the sun, it really looks quite cool. So the clear coat that I'm using is just the Standox Standard Clear. So it's the entry-level Standox branded clear, so it's not top of the line, but it's still a very good clear coat. So I decided to do something a little bit different. I've actually never done this before, but I've never really done a full respray with it, come to think of it also. So generally I just mix it up, 4:1 is the ratio. I just mix it up 4:1 and spray it. But because this was a full respray, I could, you know, you've got a license to kind of get a nice flat finish on the entire vehicle. So I did actually add 5% slow reducer for the first 2 coats. Now I put 3 coats of clear on, so for the first 2 coats of clear, 5% reducer, which, as I say, they actually don't even recommend putting any reducer in, so a bit thin on the first 2 coats. That's going to stop me from getting like excessive orange peel. And then on the last coat, you might think, oh, you'd probably want to put more, but no, I actually went the other way around. So on the last coat, I actually only went, it must have been about 2.5 to 3% reducer to give it a bit more body just for that last coat. And also in the first 2 coats, I used fast hardener but slow reducer. So it might sound like a bit of a strange thing to do, but my thinking behind it was like the slow reducer will make it sort of stay wet for a little bit longer, but once it does, like once that reducer does sort of gas out, well then the hardener's going to go off quick. So it's going to reduce your flash times, but like sort of lengthen the open window, if that makes sense. So like it'll stay open for a little bit longer while I'm spraying, but then once it does start flashing off, it'll actually go properly hard because it's got the fast hardener in it. So hopefully that made sense. But then on the last coat, I used a normal hardener, so the 2025 I think it was, yeah, so just a standard hardener. And as I said, I did give it that couple of percent reducer only on that last coat, and again it was slow reducer that I put in. So, but yeah, the gun that I used on the base coat stage was the ANI Black with the 1.3 on it. So I decided to use that gun because it's got a very nice large fan on it, and it puts like a nice amount of material out and it gets it on nice and fast. But yeah, for clear coat, as you can see, I've got the Gunman edition GTI Pro that's got a TE20 and a 1.3 on it. So yeah, look, ever since sort of the new year, I actually found this gun in a box at home. When I originally started at this shop, I never bought it in, and I just thought, you know, I'll take it in, it's too good to be sitting in a box at home. Took it in and I've been using it ever since. So prior to Christmas, I had been using the ANI Black Skull Edition and absolutely loving it, but it always happens, like, you know, like I'll get a new gun and I'll love it, and I'll, you know, I might have a few months on it, but then whenever I go back to my Pro or Pro Lite, just with the TE20, it just clicks with me, it just, I don't know. And when you can get results like this, as you can see here, like it's kind of hard to argue with, is it not? I'm definitely going to be using this on my Tirana. This was actually a good little practice session. If I can get my Tirana looking half this good, well, the paint, I mean, it's gonna be straighter than this, but as far as the paint goes, man, like if I can get my Tirana looking half as good as this, I'll be over the moon. I reckon this thing looks sick. It's a nice clean job. Another thing I actually forgot to mention at the start is that I didn't prep sole it because it's a fiberglass car. I was concerned about static, and Prepsol will actually create static, whereas all I did was water cleaner on it. So I just used that water cleaner. That actually has a anti-static effect to it as well. So yeah, and it obviously worked. It definitely did work. Now I did actually have to Prepsol the roof because it didn't get any waterborne color. So I've noticed that, like, as long as you cover the entire thing with like the waterborne base coat, you're going to be right, not prep solding. But if you're just going to be putting clear coat straight over something, you actually do need to prep sol it. So what you could do is say, what I did to this roof, I prep soled it first and then I water clean it. So I prep soled it to get rid of any oil-based contaminants, and then the water cleaner, that will actually get rid of the static that you got from the prep sol stage. So yeah, hopefully you guys did enjoy watching this video. Well, I enjoyed making it, so yeah, I'll definitely try to get more standard painting vids up for you like this. I know some of the people haven't really been digging some of the stuff that I've been doing, you know, the more panel beading and restoration type work. To be honest, I was a bit surprised. Like, I thought it would have been more popular than what it is. Like, but it is what it is, mate. You guys choose what you want to watch. I don't really mind. Don't take that the wrong way. But isn't that just a wonderful paint job and an awesome looking car? Like, I've always loved these Corvettes. They look sick. So there it is after the 3 coats are clear. I reckon it looks awesome. I actually kind of saw it coming. You might not be able to see it, but yeah, you might just get it. Just here, there's like, it just started running. I actually said that to the other painter. I said, oh, you got to be careful in there. And it did happen, but it's okay. It's easy to polish out. I did that roof as a freebie just on my own back. I didn't even ask the boss. I mean, the boss here is very cool. He won't mind. It was literally an extra 10 minutes, but I'm actually happy with the way that clear coat melted in as well. Like, I didn't get any sort of dry edge. I was managed to get the whole way around the car without any dry edge. Practice, I guess. I'm always learning, always getting better, and I guess in some ways it's probably the best respray I've done. I'd like to say a big thanks to everyone for watching, and if you'd like to support the channel further, you're more than welcome to go over and check out some of the merchandise we've got. My personal favourite is those spray suits, so they're a good quality Colad branded spray suit with a Gunman logo on it. There's also hats, drink coolers, hoodies and t-shirts, so be sure to go over and check out the link in the description if you are interested.